It's hard to believe that my time with Chop is so close to ending. Of course, we still haven't found him a home, but that should be no problem since his house manners are perfect.
That's my phone! He's got my phone!
Knowing that Chop is leaving soon, it's hard for me to resist taking just a few more opportunities to squeeze in a training session with Inertia here and there too, especially when it comes to listening to me around other dogs. So while this might look like a training session for Chop at first glance, I'm also still staying focused on Inertia too to help her understand that she needs to be calm and patient while I work with other dogs. Back up, lie down, stand. They're both doing pretty well so far. If you've ever tried this yourself though, you'll probably agree that Inertia is making it look pretty easy. It can take a lot of practice to teach dogs how to patiently wait their turn while other dogs are present. I don't even know where I would be with Chop without Bark and Super Chewer boxes. I get one of each of these boxes shipped to me every single month, so I always have a fresh set of premium toys and really good quality treats anytime I need them. If your dog is anything like Inertia, they're instantly interested in whatever it is that's in that box. These are the treats I'm using. They seem to be doing the trick. I predict this will be Inertia's favorite toy. I wouldn't have even known that Inertia loved dangly toys unless they had sent this to me. So I love that it allows me to discover new things that I would never think of. BarkBox makes these really original plush toys, but Chop, on the other hand, is definitely more of a Super Chewer box dog. Super Chewers for dogs who need tougher toys. It's a day spa theme, look at this. So this gives them kind of the feel of a plush toy, but it's extra tough underneath, and even if the cloth goes away, you still have a pretty cool toy. You get treats in both boxes, and then you also get really good chews for your dog as well. All of you can get a free BarkBox or a free Super Chewer box, or even both when you sign up for a multi-month plan. But you'll have to use my special links, and I'm gonna have those in the description below. And I'm happy to report that Chop and Inertia seem to be doing extremely well when it comes to sharing their toys these days too. Every time I think that Chop and Inertia's relationship is as good as it can get, they just get even cuter and more comfortable with one another. As Inertia's dad, seeing them interact like this means so much to me. I may have helped Chop with a lot of things, but I will owe him forever for helping me show Inertia how to be more confident around bigger dogs. This is a really interesting example. Inertia gets a little annoyed with Chop, but watch how he responds.
Growl. Easy. That might be enough. Yeah, she's a little annoyed.
Yeah, but then he takes it. So he de-escalates. And that's exactly what I want to see, especially from Chop. Chop is a pretty big dog who has kind of a high probability of accidentally irritating other dogs in the future. I mean, just due to his size and just his overall energy, if nothing else. So to me, I think it's going to be very important that Chop know how to take a measured correction like that from other dogs, and that he take it the right way without escalating things. And not only did he not escalate things, he actually backed off, he laid on his back, as if to say, sorry, I didn't mean to. Not all dogs will respond exactly like Chop did, and that's okay. So I'm really hoping that we can find him a home with another playful, friendly dog like Inertia that he can interact with all of the time. A little while ago, we put together a video, we posted it on social to really try to cast a decent-sized net in order to find Chop a fantastic home. We're looking for a really specific type of home for Chop. I mean, he is such an incredible dog. But for him to really thrive, he's going to need someone super committed and passionate who can keep up with him and give him the active life that he deserves. And ideally, a dog friend who matches his playstyle too. I'm a little discouraged because we have been struggling to find the ideal home for Chop, because we really want him to go to the best place possible. But yeah, it's surprising because when George's series went up, I mean, there were so many people who wanted George, do you know what I mean, once the YouTube series premiered. And I know that's gonna be the case with Chop. There's gonna be so many people who'd be like, I'd take that dog in a second. All the more reason to follow us on Instagram. That is the only place I talk about it. That's where we announce these dogs months ahead of time before they ever make it to YouTube. So just FYI, if you think you might want one of our future dogs, follow us there.
We'll make it happen. He's amazing. Look at him.
It's been raining pretty heavy all day, so he hasn't had a ton of exercise today, but it's good to know he can chill out on days like this.
I mean, street dog to house dog, legitimately, look at him.
Yeah. He has so much love and, I mean, he's just such a big heart, man.
He's amazing.
We got an email from some potential adopters that finally sounded like they could be exactly the family that we're looking for. They check all the right boxes. I mean, they have a fenced yard, great references. They also do a lot of traveling and adventuring, which would be incredible. I would love to see Chop out there in the snow, maybe ski joring.
And Steven he does like biking in all seasons of forest biking. I don't even know what to call it, but he does like adventure biking, and I think Chop would love that.
He's like a hexathlete or I don't know. This guy does everything.
I want this to work out. I think that they're great. I really want it to work.
They also want a playmate for their other dog, Shuggy.
Yeah.
Who loves other dogs, and I would love to see Chop end up in a home with another dog that likes to play like he does. But first I want Steven and Sarah to meet Chop and see how they like him. We invited them over so that we could spend some time together and get to know one another. I wanted to make sure that Sarah and Steven had as much time as they wanted with Chop. I mean, this really is a huge decision for everyone involved. And so far, I'd say that Chop really seems to like them. Everything is going well so far, so I think we should take things outside. I've got to say, the more time that we spend together, the better I'm feeling about these guys. I'm really seeing the potential for Chop to have an unbelievable life with Sarah and Steven. And then it was time for Shuggy, their dog, to meet Chop. And I'm thinking this is going to go pretty smoothly. Chop loves dogs. He's been hitting it off great with Inertia. I mean, his biggest problem is that he loves dogs so much. So they got their dog Shuggy out of the car, and we let the dogs investigate one another through our fence first. They seem pretty interested in one another, and look at those play bowels. After a couple of minutes of this, we decided to let Shuggy through the fence. Shuggy ran in and was really excited to meet everyone, but Chop really wanted to interact with Shuggy, to say the least. Then it felt like, to me, a nightmare scenario unfolded. Here we are in the final stages of this series, and I felt like in that moment, every bit of training I had done with him was meaningless. And even though he didn't bite Shuggy and no harm was done, obviously there are things that could have been done better here, and I think we all need to learn from this. And look, I want to be the first one to take responsibility here. Anytime something like this happens, it is on me. I'm the one in charge and the one who should be teaching Chop not to interact with another dog like that. First and foremost, I shouldn't have had Shuggy in a position to not see Chop approaching her. I really think that Chop just got way too overexcited, ran right over Shuggy thinking that he could play however he wanted.
I think that he just was unsure. I don't think he was like feeling vicious or anything, you know.
From what I know of him, I agree with you. Now, I know some of you might be quick to say that the reason we saw Chop behave like this is because we haven't been allowing him to interact in public very much with other dogs. But remember, that is by design, because there's a time and there's a place to interact with dogs, and in public, while on leash, is not the ideal place to do that. So I was kind of shaken up by this because I really, really wanted to work with these people if they want him, if they determine this is the right dog for them. Because you can tell they are two people who are going to give their life to this dog and commit to training him and just loving him and everything you want for in a family. At this point, I'm basically expecting them just to be like,
bye, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right, thanks. Probably not going to work out,
nice to meet
whatever.
you and your scary dog, but I'm gonna move on.
But Sarah and Steven stayed to talk with us about what had happened, and they agreed with our analysis that Shuggy was definitely startled by Chop's less than polite greeting, and that it may have just been a poor first impression. And at this point, we really took some time to reevaluate and determine whether it was appropriate or even fair to the dogs to try again. And we decided to go about it differently and give the dogs another shot once they had a chance to calm down. This time we moved much slower and gave them even more time to get to know each other through the fence first. And this is much more of what I was expecting. That's a look I've seen Chop give Inertia 1,000 times when he really wants to play with her. This time we put a muzzle on Chop to be extra safe, and we brought Shuggy into the yard again, but we made sure to give her a minute to get her bearings this time. Because they were both looking happy and ready to play, we let them give it a go. And this is the Chop I expected to see. They did well for several minutes, even though Chop was a little distracted by his muzzle. Since he and Shuggy seemed so much more relaxed and both of them seemed really comfortable, I decided to take off Chop's muzzle. And just like that, they were like a match made in heaven. So while things could have gone smoother, this was definitely a good recovery. And look, it doesn't necessarily go this smoothly every time. In many cases, I wouldn't even attempt another interaction after an introduction like this, at least not on the same day. But every case is different, and in this particular instance, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, I thought it was okay to try again.
In the end, they got along so well, but I know from experience, having had a dog who's been in altercations before, that is the one thing you remember about that day. And I am just really afraid that we may have messed this up for Chop. I really want this to work.
I would sincerely feel quite guilty if he misses out on a home like this because I didn't prepare him to behave correctly. So we did hear from Sarah and Steven, and after thinking it over, they really want to adopt Chop, if it's best for Chop and Shuggy. As much as we think they're great, and as much as we love the fact that they love Chop, what matters most is whether those two dogs are going to get along. So we thought it would be a good idea to get some more data and see how Chop and Shuggy would do together. We still have to do a home check anyway to make sure that they have a great place for Chop to live. We are on our way right now to go do a home check for Chop to see if this place has everything we're looking for his new home. So yeah, I know it's getting real very quickly here. I just really want to do the right thing for this dog.
They live near this awesome park. There's a dog out
Yeah,
there
this is
right
one of the
now.
reasons that I also was excited about these people. I mean, not that you have to live near a park to get a dog like Chop, but it's certainly a plus. So I think it's really cool here. I think he's going to do great here. You can see how he can really run. They'll have to do some on-lead training for a while as he gets acclimated. Everything looked fantastic at Sarah and Steven's house. This is definitely a new, interesting place for Chop, and he's immediately interested in lots of different things that are at head level for him. I think he's gonna need a reminder on how to leave things alone.
He's intrigued.
Leave it alone. They obviously have an awesome yard for Chop to play in, but my biggest concern is what Shuggy will think about him at their residence. We reintroduced them, and all I've got to say is that Chop and Shuggy got along even better than I hoped they would. It seemed like they instantly remembered one another and that they were ready to pick right back up where they left off. It's my favorite thing in the world, to watch dogs play. After that home check, I feel like we've just won the lottery in terms of Chop's future.
I think it went super well. I love how well he got along with Shuggy. It seemed like Chop loved the house. It seemed like Sarah and Steven loved Chop. They seem awesome, really committed.
The fence is a little low out there, but they're instructed and they seem very committed to supervising him or even having him on lead if necessary. Since he was very stable playing with Shuggy, their other dog, I would get them in the habit of doing that early in the day and then let them focus on training one-on-one with Chop, like in the backyard, on a long lead if necessary, with fetch and obedience and things like that. I think it's gonna work out pretty good.
Yes, I think so too. Oh, I feel so relieved. I'm so excited.
It's our last night with Chop. This will be one of their last play sessions together today. I think he's come a long way in the last few weeks. I'm happy for him to get as dirty and tired as he wants. Both of them, for that matter. Oh God, it's so muddy out here. I probably spoke too soon. I mean, I was gonna give him a bath. I mean, I am gonna give him a bath. And now I'm gonna have to give it a nursery. Come on, guys. Here, let's go over here. Ugh. Yeah, the yard has gotten totaled. We've gotten some rain. Look at that, see? She yelps, but she's right back in it. She doesn't shut down and go try to hide or anything. Her confidence level, top notch these days. Apparently so. Gosh. Let me see if I can break them up. Hey, Inertia, take a break. Chop, come. He's been getting better about that too. I've been able to call him off play and chill him out when he gets too rambunctious. It's so hard to say goodbye to Chop I'm gonna miss him dearly. I always ask myself when I spend significant time with a dog like this, what did I learn from the experience? I feel like Chop has taught me how to be more patient. He's reinforced the idea of how loving and genuine dogs are and how hard they're willing to try if you just take the time to show them and be patient with them. He taught me that I really like a dog with a floppy ear. I do appreciate that. What do you guys feel like you've learned from the Chop series? I mean, every dog is unique in their own way and they just teach you so much. I really want to enjoy every single minute I can with him. We wanted to give him some fresh air at the park.
Whoa.
Please don't pick on me. I gave him a bath. You're gonna have a good life, sir. You're going to a great place, you know that? And now the time has come. We're in the final moments of our time with Chop right now. He's in the back. What are you thinking?
I feel so emotional. I am thinking about how he's just starting this like whole lifetime of experiences with this new family, and like how they say your life flashes before your eyes. I'm trying to future do that with Chop, and I feel like it's gonna be great. I feel so good. I'm gonna miss him. How about you?
I just really want to go in there. I want to focus on them and Chop. I really just want to make sure they feel comfortable, and I want to do everything I can to make the transition as smooth as possible for Chop. You ready to do this?
I guess.
We're pulling up to their house. Every time we see Sarah and Steven, we feel even better about them than before. They were so excited to welcome Chop into their family. And I have to say, it's been a little while now, so we're happy to give you some spoilers. It turns out that Sarah and Steven are huge Back to the Future fans. And Chop's name is now McFly. I think it's pretty perfect. He has been loving his life with them over the past few months since we last finished the series. I mean, look at him go. He's continued to enjoy getting exercised in the form of fetch and many other activities too. And if you've been wondering what we've been doing since then, well, we have a lot to talk about. Get your free BarkBox or Super Chewer box at barkbox.com/dogtraining or superchewer.com/dogtraining. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok and get a copy of both of my books too. This is Reality Dog Training.